Greetings, HomeGrown Sports Network fans. Welcome back to a brand new show. This show is called Mound Conference. We keep it brief here. We talk about the most important things. We have interviews with those involved in the game of baseball. And of course, who else is going to join me than our buddy Fazio?
What's up, Mike? Yeah, this is kind of an idea I think I originated and I kicked to you and was like, hey, we should do like a show where we keep it a little shorter, maybe get like the best news out as soon as possible. We can go live now on our channel, so it'd be an excellent opportunity to have a live show and kind of talk through like what's happening, especially super crazy big news that happens, such as maybe like the Las Vegas A's that was announced a couple weeks ago. I know we got a little flack from some people out there, specifically A's fans, but maybe we'll revisit that in a Baseball 360 episode when we do that. But I figured, yeah, we're going to interview some people. I think this would be a great place for those interviews to live in full. And I think it would be a great opportunity for us to kind of spread our wings there. So looking forward to pumping these shows out with you as well.
Yeah, no, it's going to be fun. You got to keep these mound conferences short. These umpires are breathing down our neck. We got to keep this speedy. We're here today to talk about our season predictions. Some teams are where they need to be. Others are not. We're going to look into our predictions. And why don't we start here with the American League East? Fazio, take me away.
A couple of our podcasts on Baseball 360, we were just touting how those Rays, man, are just continuing to dominate in this division. And again, famously, we've said it time and time again, you can't lose a division, you can't win a division, but you can certainly lose it. And you said Rays, I think, have won this division. And looking at their record, they are currently 23-5. And I tell you what, I don't think they're going to slow down. I think they're going to keep their pedal on the gas. I don't foresee them really getting any sort of competition outside of the Blue Jays. I am still going to say the Blue Jays will win the division. I do not want to back down on that just yet. But in reality, these Rays, they're not looking too bad. I mean, the one series against the Astros was maybe their only bad series they've had thus far. Otherwise, they're pretty much running through this whole league.
With that 13-0 start, if I'm not mistaken, and it just kept growing from there, it's hard to envision a world where they're not going to be in the playoffs. I know we also both picked the Toronto Blue Jays, and some of us left out the Baltimore Orioles. They're picking up right where they left off last year. They're second right now. You got the Yankees. They're in fourth. And you got the Red Sox technically in last place, but none of these teams are under 500. We knew the AL East was a tough, competitive division, and we're seeing just that.
Absolutely. And going back to the Yankees, I mean, Aaron Judge being injured, he's got his hip injury. Giancarlo Stanton's on the IL. They're scuffling on offense right now. They lost 6 of their last 10 in this division. They're currently 8 games back. And I just thought, again, like there just hasn't been a real rhythm with this team. And I think because of these injuries, they're just going to continue to not really click. I still think they are a playoff team. And I did pick them in one of my wild card spots. And I still think they can do that. But like you said, with the Orioles, they're kind of picking up where they left off in the second half of last year. And there's just no stopping with them either. So this division's a dogfight, even all the way to the Red Sox too. Like you said, they're 500. They still can play good baseball. It's going to be tough for these teams to all make it into the wild card. So we'll have to see how the rest of the divisions shake out in the AL.
You and I were going back and forth between the Guardians and, dare I say it, the Chicago White Sox. And meanwhile, the Minnesota Twins, I don't even know why we didn't mention them, like just even a little bit. They're leading the division right now. They're getting a wonderful start to the season from Sonny Gray, Cy Young caliber. You got Pablo Lopez dealing over there. Offense is doing what they need to do. They're just taking advantage of the rest of the division, the bottom seller of that AL Central.
Shame on us, I guess, for not including the Twins. I know we had speculation with Carlos Correa and his ankle, if he was even going to play this year much at all. And they just seem to be clicking. Joey Gallo's having a great offensive year. He's turning things around. Like you said, Sonny Gray, he, I think, is the Cy Young Award winner at this moment. And we'll have to see how he does the rest of the season. But going to the White Sox, it's shameful how bad they are. They're 7-21. They're tied with the Royals. And they're 9 games back against the Twins. So regardless of the injuries, which they don't really have too much of as of right now, it's embarrassing. And there's a fan that went on the Chicago radio station out there in ESPN, and he had a famous 8-10 minute rant on them, and he just perfectly dissected what's wrong with this team. This is, I think, the only team where I'm going to say I regret picking this team to win this division. They certainly lost this division, in my opinion. I do not see them having any sort of life, coming back, making a run, even making a wild card spot. There's no heart on this team. Luis Robert hit a weak ground ball to third base that he could have beat out easily, and he just did not put any effort into running to the first base. He was called out, and that just to me was a culmination of how this team is playing so far. Lazy, uninspired. The whole organization should be ashamed. I know fans are really upset, and they have every right to be, because this team has talent on paper. They're just not showing it on the field at all. Whoever makes it out of this division, that's the only team in this division that will make it to the playoffs this season.
The thing about the AL Central is it is very unpredictable, because if I was to pick the Twins, or if you were to pick the Twins, they would be doing what the White Sox are doing, and the White Sox would be doing what the Twins are doing. The AL Central, I can never seem to pinpoint it. So I'm going to stick with the Guardians, but the Twins could very easily take this division as well. Moving on to the AL West. Yes, we have a team from Texas leading this division, as we all predicted. But it ain't who you think it is. Yes, it's the Texas Rangers. 1 month into the season, they got a 16-11 record. They are getting bit by the Jacob deGrom injury bug, but that's another story for another day. The pitching outside of deGrom has picked up. That bullpen has shown some life. They've blown a game here or there. They had a rough series against the Reds, but overall, I like what the Rangers are doing. They're trying to take advantage of the Astros while they're down, although the Astros will not be down for long.
Yeah, and you know what? We kind of said in the beginning of our whole, I guess, channel that the Rangers may not have enough life for them to win this division, but we did mention that they should take advantage of the Astros missing Jose Altuve. And there's plenty of things that were going wrong with the Astros, especially early on. It wasn't just Altuve's presence not being there. But with that being said, the Rangers have definitely taken advantage of that and have currently sit atop of this division. They're now 2 games up against the Astros. So like you said, it'll be interesting to see if the bullpen can keep up with everything and not melt down like they have in seasons past. But I think having 2 platoon guys for the closing role definitely helps them alleviate a little bit of that stress. And going with the Astros, they lost their last 2 as of the recording today, and they famously scuffled earlier in the season. But we're definitely seeing some of their brilliant show, and I do think that they'll still win this division. But that's not to say that the Rangers can keep pace with other teams in the AL East and try to squeak out an AL wildcard spot to end the season. So these 2 teams, I think, would be great to see them perform in May and see how things stand at the end of that month. But so far, so good looking for these 2 Texas teams.
It was Seattle Mariners were the team that needed to take advantage of Jose Altuve's absence. It's still pretty early for the Mariners as well. They have an 11-16 record through 27 games. I went back last year. They were 12-16 through 28 games, and they managed to go on a run in the second half. They lost Robbie Ray for the entire season, but then again, it was really their young pitchers going out there and dealing anyway. They're going to need the Rangers to collapse, because I don't see that happening to the Astros, but the Mariners might be on the outside looking in if they continue this.
Yeah, absolutely. And, they even have the Angels atop of them. The Angels are actually playing 500 ball right now. They're another team where I think their rhythm is off too. I mean, when Shohei Ohtani is on the mound, chances are they're going to win. If he puts up a great offensive performance, I would say maybe 6 times out of 10, they win the game. I expect the Angels to fall behind a little bit. I think the Mariners next month will be ahead of them. But that is to say, yes, I agree with you that they may be on the outside looking in at this point, but still early enough where they can turn things around. And I think they have the capability to do so, especially with, Julio Rodriguez and even Jarred Kelenic. He's been putting on a great offensive show for them so far this season. I think those 2, if they continue to do that, they should be in good position to make, a little bit of a run in this division.
Well, that pretty much sums up our American League predictions. I'm looking at MLB.com right now, and it's only April 30th, but these would be the 6 American League teams entering the playoffs to date. You would have the Rays, the Rangers, you got the Twins, the division winners. Then your 3 wildcard teams are coming from the AL East. You got the Orioles, you got the Blue Jays, and you got the Yankees. Let's shift over to that National League, shall we? In the National League West, we all knew the Arizona Diamondbacks were going to win this division, right? No, I'm just kidding. So far, they're through 28 games. They got a record of 16-12, leading that division. I think a lot of that has to do with the Dodgers and the Padres not finding their footing yet, but shout out to this Diamondbacks team so far.
Props to you for kind of picking those out. I think that was the team you said to look out for in 2023, and I think that was a great pick on your part, especially in the National League. We'll go to the Central and tease another team that's really surprising everyone in baseball right now. But kind of going through the other teams in this division, Padres, I think, have really, looking at their record, I mean, I think it's a miracle they're 500 because I don't think they've been playing 500 baseball. They've kind of been a little lost. But I think with Fernando Tatis Jr. coming back recently, I think they're starting to get their footing a little bit. They kind of had an offensive explosion in this Mexico series against the Giants on Saturday night. And I kind of predicted in Instagram on the MLB posts, I think a week ago at this point now, saying, I think that whole series will be a defining moment for this Padres team going forward. That could really turn a whole team around, their confidence around, even maybe with Juan Soto. I know his statue out there looked nothing like him. It was completely disrespectful how awful that thing looked. But I still think they can take this division over. I think the Diamondbacks were able to take over against the Giants and the Rockies. They're kind of, basement dwelling right now. The Giants, they're not playing too great. I know they got Mitch Haniger back recently, but I still think they're going to be on the bottom of this division.
Let's leave the West Coast and let's start creeping into that National League Central. You want to talk about a division that is completely upside down? This is it. Ladies and gentlemen, the Pittsburgh Pirates have a record of 20-8 entering today. I don't even think we said one word about the Pittsburgh Pirates in our prediction special. We picked the Cardinals to win the division. We touched on the Cubs a little bit, but with the Pirates, we're like, it's the Pirates.
There's got to be some sort of voodoo happening in that clubhouse because outside of Andrew McCutchen's reemergence with this team, it's insane how well they're playing. Their run differential's plus 53. It's actually the highest in the National League, which is insane. Like, it's higher than the Atlanta Braves. And so it just goes to show that this offense is continuing to click. And their rotation's really solid. Their bullpen's excellent. Bednar, their closer, has been getting great chances to close things out, and he's been dominating that role so far this season. And they're 9-1 in their last 10 as of this moment. So things are just hot for the Pirates. And to be honest with you, I don't know if it's going to slow down. I don't think this team has any sort of slowing down at this point. We'll have to see in May if they do, but as of right now, it's really probably the biggest storyline in baseball so far.
And you could put all those Brian Reynolds trade talk conversations to bed. 8-year contract extension. It shows that maybe they're serious this time around. Why trade a player like him when you can just keep him? Unfortunately, they lost O'Neal Cruz, but if he somehow magically comes back by the end of the year, that's just another weapon they have. They extended their manager, Derek Shelton. I think they like what they got going on over there. I think they got a good group from the top down. The Milwaukee Brewers, Fazio. You were going back and forth between them and the Phillies for your third wild card spot. How do you feel today about that?
Well, I feel a lot worse about the St. Louis Cardinals being in last place in this division than I do the Milwaukee Brewers being in second, because looking back, I did feel like the Brewers would finish second in this division. I did not foresee them being 9 games over 500 at this point in the season and still having another situation where they don't seem like they're slowing down either. So I'm a little worried about the Cardinals. I still think they can turn things around. I'm not going to back off on them just yet, but I'm going to see what May brings for this team because I think a whole new refresh could help the Cardinals get out of the basement here. But if they continue to play like they are right now and we look back at the end of May and see them in last place, I may have to jump ship on them and maybe jump over to the Jolly Roger in Pittsburgh. But as far as the Brewers go, I think it's consistent with what I thought. I felt like they were going to be second in this division and keeping up with a wild card. And we'll have to see if they will make it. They're up 3.5 games on the wild card spot, so they're safely tucked into a division, or I should say a playoff series right now. But we'll have to revisit them and see.
Let's move over to that National League East. The Atlanta Braves leading this division, no surprise. New York Mets sitting at second. Miami Marlins in third place, like we all predicted. Currently, the Marlins have a record of 16-13. Their expected win-loss record should be 11-18. Maybe that kind of tells you a story right there about the Marlins. The Phillies. Let's talk about the Phillies for a second.
Yeah, for those Phillies, we predicted them to be the third wild card spot, both of us in our prediction show. And as of this recording, they're 15-13. They're only 3.5 games back of the Braves, and they're only a half a game back for that last wild card spot. So, I mean, looking back to last season, they actually finished April 11-11. So I feel like they're kind of on a similar trajectory at this moment. And as long as they can keep pace with, playing 500, a little over 500 ball, they could definitely make that last wild card spot. As you kind of predicted with the Miami Marlins, I think this May schedule is similar to the Cubs. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge. And, Sandy Alcantara really hasn't been his Cy Young self this season. He's been a little banged up, and he's been getting banged up in his starts as well. So I think he's going to have to turn things around, and we'll have to see if they can kind of keep pace with their current record. But as their record and their run differential shows, I expect them to have a bit of a rough go this coming month.
Phillies started off 1-4 and 5 games. You can't make a big deal about it, but it was definitely an ugly start. Not one the Phillies fans wanted. Trey Turner took a little bit to get going, but I think the Phillies will be right up there. The New York Mets, my favorite team. It's been an April that's kind of been up and down a little bit. They've played a lot of their games on the road. They handled their business on that West Coast trip, which I thought was going to be their bugaboo. It turns out coming back from that trip is really where they struggled. Their rotation with, Max being suspended, Justin Verlander missing the first month, kind of put them in a tough spot, but they got some great outings from Joey Lucchesi, which was not expected. And to be 15-12 coming out of the month of April, which was kind of what I predicted, I'm okay with it. Their schedule lightens up a little bit in May, so I'm hoping they could fatten up there. On and on they go.
Absolutely, and even the last few games, their games got rained out against the Atlanta Braves, and they're going to have a doubleheader to start the month of May against those Braves. Play that series out. It'll be interesting to see if these rain postponements will help or hurt this team coming out in May. And shout out to Pete Alonso. You predicted him to have the most home runs in the league. It's very possible he can do that.
Yeah, he just has to beat out Max Muncy and Patrick Wisdom, and it'll be all set. But real quick on the Atlanta Braves, there isn't much to say about them except that they're an excellent baseball team. 18-9 to start the season off. They're scoring their runs, getting wonderful outings from their starting pitching. Max Fried back from that injury. Spencer Strider dealing. But I think the Braves might have locked this thing up pretty early.
I still think it's a little bit early to determine them locking this division. I could still see the Mets, go on a little bit of a run and give the Braves a little bit of a run for their money. It happened last year. It's not like the Braves are really going on a tear. They're 5-5 in their last 10. So they're still, even though taking care of their business and their offense is clicking and they have great rotation going, I still think there's some room for the Mets to kind of still keep pace because I think the Mets are a good team and that they can do that.
I like it. Yeah, put April to bed. It's time for May. The weather's going to get warmer. Even May is still pretty early. Don't be surprised if we're talking about a team we don't expect to be here come June 1st as well.
Yeah, we'll just have to keep pace. Like we promised our audience here, we wanted you guys to kind of check us on our predictions, and we're making our responsibility by introducing a new show, putting this out there each month, and revisiting what we talked about prior to kind of keep ourselves responsible for our predictions. And also want to tease a big guest coming up this coming week for us. Stay tuned for that. We'll have a full interview with this person up on this show, and we'll hope to get some really great nuggets out of him because he's got a huge, huge history behind the world of baseball.
I can't wait for that interview to come out. I'm excited. Yeah, first episode of Mound Conference in the books. I think this came out great. We're going to keep pumping these out. Like I said, live shows potentially, breaking emergency podcast. Mound Conference is the show for that.